my name is Mads, and today we're going to be talking about A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. This is Sabaa Tahir's second book. Her first in this series was An Ember in the Ashes, and because everything that happens at the end of that book is a direct spoiler for this one, I'm just going to give you a summary of that book. Also, this review will be spoiler-free, so don't worry if you haven't read this book because I'm not going to tell you what happens. An Ember in the Ashes is a Roman-inspired fantasy world about two main characters, Elias and Laia. Elias is a member of a group called the Marshals, which is kind of like the Romans themselves. They are the invading race, they have conquered the rest of their continent, and they are ruling all of the other groups that they have conquered. And Elias is training at a place called Blackcliff Academy to become a mask, which is like the Navy SEALs, but on steroids. Laia, on the other hand, is a member of a group called the Scholars, and they have it worse than probably anybody else in the Empire. And some stuff happens, and Laia ends up joining the Scholar Resistance and becomes a spy at Blackcliff Academy. She and Elias meet, and things happen, and it's crazy, but it's wonderful. I gave that book, I think, a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was absolutely wonderful, and I really, really highly recommend that you go pick it up because it's totally worth reading. That's all I'm going to say about that, so if you haven't read this book, don't spoil yourself, go read the first one, come back in a little bit, and yeah, bye! So if you have read An Ember in the Ashes, this takes place immediately after the ending of the first book. It's like a flawless continuation of the first one, and it's really, really well done. The writing in this book is so beautiful. The world expands, and the way that it's described is so large and beautiful and just open, and I really loved all of the cultures and the places that we got to see, even if they weren't so happy. You know, sometimes prisons aren't fun, especially if you are Darren and you're stuck in Calf. The book is told through 3 points of view, Laia, Helen, and Elias, and the first one I want to talk about is Laia because it was so cool to see in comparison to the first book. In Ember, she is so meek and she doubts herself all the time, but in this book she immediately starts off with a huge amount of confidence, and it's so awesome to see. She's really smart and really cunning. She might not be the best at fighting, but she always outwits her enemies, and that's really awesome to see. And her journey here is learning how to deal with her newfound power, both in herself and on this quest, because Laia is basically the one calling the shots on this quest. The second character that I want to talk about is Helen, because her point of view is so fantastic. Helen isn't like Laia. Helen started off strong, she's always had to be strong. It was so amazing to watch her struggle between her duty to the Empire and her duty to her best friend. And obviously that's not easy. There are some rough things in store for Helen, and they were so well done, and I loved every second that she was in the pages. The last point of view was Elias's, and it was probably my least favorite, but that doesn't mean that it was bad because I thought it was really well done. He just, you know, Elias had to come to terms with his own death in the last book. You can't really evolve much further than that, so what we really get to see here is Elias compartmentalizing and learning how to deal with his struggles because Elias has his own problems throughout this book. What I did really love about Elias's point of view is watching him interact with Laia. Laia is so much stronger and brighter when she's around Elias because he really brings out the best in her. And it was also really fun to see Elias interact with Helen because he understands the situation she's in, but he doesn't make it easy for her, which is really fun to watch. We get to explore so much more of this world this time, and Sabaa Tahir's writing was so beautiful and descriptive. It really opened the world up, and it made it so realistic, even in the places that weren't so fun, like when you finally get to Calf. It's not exactly a vacation spot, but the way it's written is so stark and incredible, and I loved reading about all of the places. The plot of this book is so fast-paced. I read almost 430 pages in one day, and there's only like 460 something in the book. How many pages? That's the acknowledgements. There's only 452 pages in this book, and I read like 430 of them in one day because I could not put this book down. It didn't drag any parts. Even in the parts where there weren't like action scenes, the political intrigue and the interactions between the characters were so fascinating that it wasn't even slow. It was just incredible. I loved this story. It fits so beautifully with the first book. This is going to be an amazing series. I know it's been signed on for 2 more books, and I cannot wait for the 3rd one. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It was absolutely incredible. I loved it. If you have not picked this book up, I highly recommend that you go grab it because it was incredible. So thank you guys for watching. That's all for today. My name is Mads. Bye!